Hey, what's going on, everybody? A nice little rainy Saturday morning here at home. I'm out here in the garage working on the Studebaker a little bit, and got the passenger side door on. And I think that this is where most of the weight of this car is, because everything else on here has been pretty lightweight. But man, these doors are heavy, and especially trying to do it by yourself. I wanted to make sure everything was going to fit, because you got to remember the floor pans on these things were rotted out. The bottom, the A pillars were rotted out, and this car set for some time, so there was probably going to be a little sagging going on. I got all that straightened out with the A pillars at the bottom, getting everything jacked up, getting the right amount of rubber underneath the floor pan to the frame. I've got all that squared off. And I've been plucking away a little bit more on the floor pan joining into the back seat area. So let's get to what I've done so far. And today I think I'm going to finish up the floor pan to the passenger rear corner of the seating area and get all that buttoned up. There's a couple little patches I need to put in as well, but I'll show you that here in a second. Got the door hung. And man, let me tell you, these things are a pain in the butt to adjust, primarily because they weigh so much. And the other thing I was going through as well, when I took the original bolts out, a lot of them stripped coming out. And I was like, man, what am I going to do? You know, trying to find these bolts here. So I ended up going down to the local hardware store. And I found some that were close to fit, but the main thing, it's an Allen, but they'll work. So I got those in. Now this adjuster plate on the back of this door, I'm gonna have to take out. There's a broken bolt in here. This one's kind of stripped out, but for now I've got a nut behind it. So what I'm gonna do is, once I mock everything up and pull the door back off, I'm going to see about getting that plate off in the back and either replacing the nut cert in the back of this, or turn around and get some new nuts, weld them to the back of the plate, because the plate behind this allows you to adjust the door front to back, up and down. And hopefully that'll take care of that. And I got to get new pins for this area. And I need to do something about this, because this is what holds the door open. But man, it's got a nice little crick pop to it. See if I can get that little pop. See a little. I want to make that a little smoother. But I had to hook that one up because the door kept shutting on me while I was trying to weld. So that's where I'm at with the door right now. All this has got to come off. I need to get into the window track area and clean all that up and re-lube it, because man, this thing is stiffer than hell trying to roll the windows down. So I got to do that on both sides. Get that off, get them all greased up. I'm trying not to damage the outer part of this too much, because I need to use it as a template. This will fold back down to here, so I'm going to try to take the rest of this stuff apart and try to get it off as gently as possible, so I can make some new door cards for it. For the first test fit on the door, it's not too bad. It's opening and shutting. I got to dial in my gap areas. I'm a little further back this way, so I've got to bring the door forward about 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch, get my line set. But overall, between cutting everything out and putting the new pans in, I'm happy. There's not going to be a whole lot to do. It's just going to be time consuming and a little patience, which sometimes I don't have a lot of. But we'll get it done, and hopefully I can get Ethan out here to help me finish up the doors once I get the plates done on this. And should be basically good to go. But I'm happy so far with it. You know, especially with me not having any actual measurements to go by from Studebaker. So I believe I'm pretty close and I can live with that. It's going to work out. It's going to line up. And it's going to do the job. I started the other day on this. I've got everything tacked up to this point. I made a piece to cut through here because this side wasn't as rusted out as bad as the driver's side. Because on the driver's side, I kind of had to do this all the way across. But here, I'm able to cut out a strip to go in here, and you can see where I haven't finished yet, so that's going to be a tight spot. Get all that welded in. I've got to make where I cut out here where it was rotting out. I got to clean all that out, get it done. The back corner's got a hole in it. I got to clean out and get that patched in, and then start tacking in everything through here. Now, we're not using the original seats. So this area right in here, I got to pull that little plastic plug out, clean it up on both sides, and cut it out and put a patch in that. But once I do all that and get all that situated, then we're going to bring the 300C back in the garage so I can pull the motor and tranny out of it, get the motor mounts out of it. I've got an idea how I want to do the transmission cross member, so I got to get the material for that. But for today, I'm going to finish tightening this stuff up, and maybe start playing with the lower rockers. So when I originally started cutting everything out, I left this part of the lower rocker in because it's still in pretty good shape. And the reason I did that was the way the replacement rockers are set up, you got to take this quarter panel off, get the rockers put in, set the quarter panel back in. And I didn't want to go through all that, and I didn't want to sit there and just cut the top part of it off and put the new one in. And so I cut it back to where it was good. So I'm going to go from here forwards and piece in the lower rocker panel. So now I just need to get some help out here and get all this off to where I can get the replacement rockers down. And I'm going to start with the driver's side and get it lined up. You got this little lip right here that goes behind the corner that I had to make the piece for on the driver's side. I haven't done on the passenger side yet, so once I get the fenders off, back off the car, because I got to rebuild the lower section down there, and then I'll get the passenger side done, get it where it butts up where it's supposed to go. That's the game plan. We'll see how it goes. Weather permitting, because the car 300's parked in the back, so maybe tomorrow I can get it pulled into the garage. That's going to be what's going to be next on our plate, I guess. To get that in there, get the motor pulled, tranny pulled, wiring harness pulled out of it, get the trans tunnel cut out of it. So basically we're going to finish cutting this car up, take off the stuff that we're selling, and somehow get it to the scrap yard. So let me get started on the patch panels and stuff, and we'll get to it. Well, I got a little bit more done. Got some patch in down there. I still got to put one there after I cut all that out. This has been a slow go today. And trying to get down the side there, boy, that was a pain in the ass. But it's still progress. I'm going to take a break for today, get back on it tomorrow. And because me and the other half got plans later on. A little out of time with it. But I also took out the floor mats out of the Studebaker boxes the other night. I got them laying on the floor. I'm going to have to set them outside and let the heat get to them because they're pretty wrinkled up. But there's two front sections and a rear section. I think it's because I think this one came out of the car and it's got a little tear in it. So there's another one underneath. Need to take those, let them out, sit out in the sun and stretch them and see if they're going to flatten out any. Because man, they've been in those boxes for a long time. Other than that, guys, I'm going to call it a day. go relax, and then get ready for this evening. And Ethan and I will probably get back on this sometime tomorrow. Y'all have a good one, a safe one, and I'll see you down the road.